Hello, you are welcome. Thank you for joining us today. So, today, imagine as parents, you have a manual in raising your children, but this manual does not have an important ingredient in it. And what is it? Emotional intelligence. Imagine into this world that you're making decisions without emotional intelligence. The truth is that emotional intelligence is the need of the hour. Emotional intelligence is important to you as a parent, to everyone around us, because you can hardly do anything without emotional intelligence. You need emotional intelligence to even parent your children. You need emotional intelligence to even relate with your colleagues at work. You need emotional intelligence to interact, to have conversation. You need emotional intelligence to show empathy. Empathy is missing and lacking in our world today, but we need emotional intelligence to show empathy. You need emotional intelligence to be aware of yourself, of your strengths, of your limitations. You need emotional intelligence to self-regulate yourself. You need emotional intelligence for your social skills. That is to tell us that the need for emotional intelligence cannot be overemphasized. Everything you do, you need emotional intelligence to navigate it. So, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, to understand, and regulate your own emotions while you're also recognizing and responding appropriately to the emotions of others. So, your ability to identify your emotions, your ability to understand your emotions, your ability to regulate your own emotions, and while you are at it, while you're understanding your emotions, identifying your emotions, regulating your emotions, you're also able to recognize and respond appropriately to the emotions of others. So while you're able to identify your emotion, while you're able to understand your own emotion as a parent or as an individual, as an adult, you're also able to regulate your emotion. At the same time, you are also able to recognize the emotion of the next person. Maybe the emotion of your child. Your child is throwing a tantrum. You're also recognizing your own child's emotion and you're responding appropriately. So it's not enough for you to recognize your own emotion, but you have to recognize your own emotion. You have to recognize the emotion of the next person, which could be your child in this case, and you have to respond appropriately to the emotion of that person. So if your child is having a tantrum, or your child is having a meltdown, or your child is shouting, your child is nagging, your child is doing something inappropriate. So, emotional intelligence says that as a parent, you have to understand your emotion. Probably at that point, you are angry or you're frustrated. You have to identify your emotion. You have to understand what you're going through. Maybe you're angry with your child. You also have to regulate your own emotion. That means you are not expected to lash out. That means at that point, your goal is to help your child. Your goal is to help yourself first, to regulate your own emotions. Then you can now go and help your child to regulate their emotions. So while you are at yours, you're also able to recognize the emotion of your child, or recognize the emotion of the next person. Probably the person is angry, this person is speaking out in a way you don't like, but you're able to recognize that person's emotion. Not just recognizing, but you're responding appropriately. So you're not lashing out, you're trying to respond appropriately to the emotions of that person. That is what emotional intelligence is. And now you can now understand why we're talking about the importance, the need for us to be emotionally intelligent, for us as parents, as adults, as individuals to be emotionally regulated. And that is why I read the book, The A to Z of Emotions. This book comes in series for your school age children, your toddlers, your teenagers, and for adults. This book is going to open you up to what emotional intelligence is. It's going to teach you as a parent how to label and name your emotions. It's also going to equip your child how they can start to name and label their emotions. Now, the psychologist Daniel Kuhlman who is a pioneer of this field, emotional intelligence, defines emotional intelligence as consisting of 5 core components. The first one is self-awareness, the second is self-regulation, the third one is motivation, the fourth is empathy, and the fifth is social skills. So you can see emotional regulation is encompassing. The truth is that emotional regulation is not just helpful in our day now. It's not just helpful in our time. It is transformative. When you have a good grasp of your emotion, when you understand emotional intelligence, the emotions of your emotions, the emotions of your child or any other person around you, you will find out that everything you do is going to be transformative, because emotional intelligence will help you to be calm with your child when your child is having a meltdown. Emotional intelligence will help you to be calm with your husband, with your wife, or with your colleagues when they speak in a way that doesn't go so down with you. Emotional intelligence will help you to be curious, instead of wanting to lash out, but you're going to be curious with enthusiasm. You just want to be curious to see how I can help this person. Emotional intelligence help you to shape the life of your child. Do you want to raise a child that will be stable as an adult? Now begin to teach them about emotional intelligence. And that is why you should get a copy of my book, The A to Z of Emotions. This book will teach your child how emotionally intelligent they can be. It's going to set you off. It's going to start you on your journey of emotional intelligence. That is why every parent out there should get a copy of this book. Now, as a parent, how does emotional intelligence relate to everything? Our voices, the voices we say to ourselves, everything around us. Now, emotional intelligence, the core is self-awareness. And remember, the ability for you as a parent to recognize your own internal states is part of emotional intelligence. Now, this includes you as a parent noticing your inner critic, you as a parent noticing your inner voices. It includes your child also knowing their inner voices. So those voices that tell you things like, oh, you cannot do this, you can't do this, you're not good enough. That is a part of emotional intelligence, because it gets you to the point of being self-aware. Now look at where emotional intelligence comes to play. Emotional intelligence now comes to play in this life. It now tells you don't have to believe everything you think. So if your inner voices, the critic, the dialogue you have in your head is telling you something negative, emotional intelligence comes to the point of saying you don't have to believe everything you think. Your inner critic is not the truth. That is the work of emotional intelligence. Now you can see how emotional intelligence is playing out, and it's a habit. And emotional intelligence gives you the tool to interrupt the habit of thinking of limitations. Emotional intelligence gives you the tool to interrupt those negative voices. That is why we cannot talk so much about emotional intelligence, because the truth is that emotional intelligence is the need of the hour. So how emotionally intelligent are you? Get a copy of my book, The A to Z of Emotion, for yourself, for your children. Join our community. I'm going to drop the link in the comment section how you can join our community and start off your journey of emotional intelligence. And the truth is that you will be grateful you did. Thank you. Until I come your way next time, do have a good day and bye.